But first, on the weekend, I read a most terrifying document. And I beg our leaders, any politicians watching tonight, in fact, all Australians, to read it as well before it's too late. The document is this one, a look at our Defence Mobilisation Planning here and giving examples overseas. In other words, in a war, how do we mobilise all the civilians and supplies that our small defence force would need to defend us, particularly from, say, China? We have just 85,000 people in our defence forces, even when we include all our army reservists. There is no way that's enough in a war with China. And this report, done by the giant RAND Corporation, very prestigious defence think tank, done at the request of the Australian Defence Force, looks at how prepared our ADF and our government are for such a full-on mobilisation. And I have to tell you, this report makes scarily clear we are nowhere near ready. We have not even begun to be ready. The army isn't ready. The government isn't ready. Our industry isn't ready. And the Australian people are not ready and may never be. Read it. Now, I know you'll find that the language in this study is very polite, boring even. And so you might not immediately grasp the chaos it actually describes when it very politely says that our Defence Force does not yet effectively or explicitly incorporate a whole-of-nation construct, such as social cohesion, citizen support, and material and psychological resilience into its planning or doctrine. So rather than just quote pages of that kind of language, let me sum up exactly what it does say. In an extreme crisis, war with China, we will need to quickly draft lots of extra manpower into the war effort, especially experts, cyber experts for sure. We would also, and I know this is fairly obvious, we would also need to rush in supplies, transport, food, medical supplies, all sorts of equipment. And we'd need stockpiles of all the critical stuff that we now ship in, like microprocessors, essential for computers. I tell you, if China takes over Taiwan, 2/3 of the processors that make these sort of things, they'll be gone. They'll be in Chinese hands. So we would need a full-on mobilisation. But then this report goes through all the things that we have not done, unlike countries like Finland, Sweden, US. Let me list some of these things. We have not even had a formal review for more than 30 years of who or what we would need to mobilise, what kind of people we need to mobilise and how. The plan we have today, says this report, is the wrong one. It assumes for a start that we have a big industrial base to help us out, as if we wish, because we don't. It's true. Once, nearly 1/3 of Australians worked in manufacturing, but manufacturing now makes up just 6% of our economy. 6%, that's much less than for most countries. And as the report says, this virus pandemic has just proved to us how dependent we are on foreign supplies. 90% of our medicines must be imported, just for a start. So what happens if our supplies are cut off by war or naval blockade? What can we actually make here in Australia that we would need to keep fighting? The report says, well, sure, we're at least now trying to build our own warships. That's a start. But even in defence industries, it warns us, we rely on big multinational companies. But in a war, how can we be sure if these multinationals will be on our side or put us first? Well, that's frightening enough. If, say, again, China cuts off our supplies, we won't last long. We can't even make much petrol for ourselves anymore. Nor do we have many ships of our own left for transport. This report says we might need to create a merchant navy. But our problems get even worse. This report says the ADF has not identified exactly what experts it would need and how to get them. Industry has not been asked to help with such planning, as it is in, say, Finland. And our politicians have not even started to get us psychologically ready to help fight a prolonged war. The public does not have any idea of the need to help our military, it warns, and we have no military tradition, no national service, and no compelling national narrative to inspire them to. That's what it says. And it may well be that we're too divided to defend ourselves in a total war.
On your colonisation. Hurry up! Oh, it. Burn this place to the ground!
In short, this report to our ADF makes clear we are sitting ducks in a real war. And that's without even talking about the problems we've discussed before on the show in buying all the new hardware we suddenly need urgently, like new submarines, like the new joint fighters. We have been lazy. We have been complacent. We have been blind. And we're divided and flabby, utterly dependent on overseas supplies that could be cut off in an instant. And if we don't wake up and trouble does hit, we're toast.